friends. Welcome back to the Way of Wonder podcast, where Father Patrick Schultz from Cleveland, Ohio, and myself, Bill Donahue of the TOP Institute, meander down the paths of beauty that the Lord has put in this world. We talk about poetry, sculpture, painting, music. It could be anything. We don't even know what's coming. As today, I'm going to surprise Father Pat with something special from, I'll give him a little hint, the 15th century. We're going way back. You weren't even alive.
That's a throwback.
It sure is.
Yeah, were you?
Well, I'm not one of the wizards in Middle Earth who lived thousands of years. No, I was born the same year they landed on the moon. Do you know what year that was?
1969.
Well, we supposedly landed on the moon, but you're right, 1969.
Allegedly.
Isn't that hilarious that some people... Anyway.
We just lost subscribers.
That's right. Oh, man, these kind of people. Father Pat, how are you today?
I'm good, man. I am good. I am gearing up. Me and all the priests in the Diocese of Cleveland, we're heading out on our presbyteral convocation today. So a few days of R&R with the brother priests, and it should be really good. Yeah. Good time together. So I'm looking forward to that.
Excellent. You need that. You need to get the reboot once in a while with the brothers.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's been a while. I mean, so yeah, it's going to be good.
Good. Well, things are good here. We're into a great month, October, and pumpkin spice is everywhere. I don't know if you've seen, it's everywhere. I think I sent you the other day a text of Cheerios cereal, pumpkin spice edition.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible.
It's a little overwhelming. I'm kind of done with it already.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I had a pumpkin spice latte the other day, and I think it was the first one I've ever had.
Thoughts?
It's not bad, but it's not like it's hyped up too much.
Yeah, definitely. So this is not today's Way of Wonder episode is not sponsored by anything pumpkin spice at all.
No,
not remotely.
No.
We're going to dive in. I'm going to give you our layout for anyone who's just tuning in and missed the first couple episodes. We sort of do a Lectio Divina move through art, through things that are beautiful. So what we'll do is, after an initial opening quote or thought, which we may or may not have each episode, we'll riff on that for a while, talk about it, and then we'll have something to gaze upon, and we invite you viewers to look at it as well with us. We surprise each other each week with whatever the content is, so it's fresh. And then we do a little, we lectio, we read it. We do a little meditatio, which is some of the objective details, who did it, when did they do it, some facts. Then we slide into contemplatio. We just let the thing wash over us. We linger and tarry in the piece and just let the Holy Spirit kind of work. And that's what we're doing it for ourselves to appreciate beauty, and for anyone tuning into this podcast. We want to acclimate ourselves to beauty again and see what it does to our hearts. Then we'll finally finish with actio, which is looking on this work. Is there going to be a change in the way I kind of approach the rest of my day or the rest of this week? Will it do something to me? Okay, so Father Pat, you ready for the quote?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. I stumbled on this woman. She's got a great book called The Wonder Approach. She's an educator from Barcelona, Spain, Catherine Lecuyer. I hope I said that right. And so she's in the world of educating and teaching children. And the fact that she says in her book that there's a wonder approach caught my eye for obvious reasons. So here's a quote from Catherine Lecuyer. She says, and I texted this to you, Father Patrick, if you want to look at it too. We suggest wonder as the center of all motivation and action in the child. Wonder is what makes life genuinely personal. Beauty is what triggers wonder. Wonder attunes to beauty through sensitivity and is unfolded by secure attachment. I just want to pause right there for a second because that's kind of interesting. We're looking for some sort of attachment stability like ground, and beauty somehow creates this space. When wonder, beauty, sensitivity, and secure attachment are present, she says, learning is meaningful. I wanted to throw that at you, Father Pat, because I feel like as I stumbled on it this past week, I thought, hey, this sort of feels like our mission statement or something.
Yeah, I feel like we could linger in this quote. I feel like for a long time.
I've got time. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Wonder is what makes life genuinely personal.
Hmm.
It's like there's things that the Lord highlights throughout my experience, throughout my day, that don't get highlighted for you or for someone else. Um, it's like, what is it that strikes me? I'm
Hmm.
thinking right now of my one goddaughter Rosie, who every year in spring, she loses her mind as these little purple crocuses start coming up through the ground. Like for her, like she'll be laying down flat on the grass, just enamored with every flower. But
Wow.
like that's the little, I don't know, that's one of the little aspects of creation that the Lord has highlighted for her that's captured her heart.
Hmm.
Um, I get drawn into it with her, but it's not. Like I'm drawn with her to the thing that's personally grabbed her,
Yeah.
Um, we've talked about bonfires and sunsets, all those things, but yeah, I just
Hmm.
think that there's particular things, particular keys that unlock the particular shape of each of our hearts. So we're all unique in that way. And the Lord, I don't know, knows what little aspect of lowercase b beauty
Hmm.
is the right key to unlock our
Yeah.
hearts. I love that wonders what makes life genuinely personal. That's interesting.
Yeah, wow. I love what you're unpacking there because it's like I'm thinking of how there's particular things, as you said, that strike each particular person, but they're sort of subsumed into the universal. Like the universal God who is beauty is present in each particular, but it's landing in
Yeah.
each subjective person's experience and heart that might trigger a whole set of things that are unique to the soil of their own soul. And it's interesting when you're open to other people's experiences this way because it's like watching a TED talk on, quantum physics or something. I don't have that in the soil of my soul, but when someone else experiences it, it's personal for them, the wonder of it. I'm kind of like drawn in and I watch it. Have you had that experience as well? You're watching content that you normally wouldn't stumble on, but somebody's wonder over it sort of draws you in.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally.
Happens
Totally.
all the time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's the rabbit hole of TED Talks, and you get drawn into someone who's just like an expert in something, or um like I was watching this one MIT guy give us a TED talk about word acquisition. Like I've never thought about word acquisition, but I was just like, he had these crazy computer simulated models of how his like 1, 2 year old son was developing sounds and how they were morphing into words. And I'm like, just you get so drawn into it. It was
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
That's like the second part of this quote from Catherine Lecoyer, wonder attunes to beauty through sensitivity. That's one of the cool things about this whole idea of the spirituality of wonder is that it makes me more sensitive. So, I might say, word, what was the phrase again? Word, you just said
Acquisition.
acquisition. Like, if I'm not sensitive to that, it's like, well, that's boring. That has nothing to do with, like, why would I? But if you're like, okay, well, this person sent me this or they're interested, sensitivity is like this kind of opening moment. Okay, I'll see. And this fills into every aspect of life, I think, when we kind of open a little bit. Even the question of like, how are you doing? How was your weekend? If I open actually for the answer, I become more sensitive. And then hey, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty beautiful. Yeah, this is the human
Yeah.
space that gets created, which I think to her point, right? She says, when wonder, beauty, sensitivity, and secure attachment are present, learning is meaningful, like meaningful of meaning. I love it. So, us being open to things that are new. Uh,
The
awesome.
the addition there of secure attachment, I think, is so interesting, right? Like,
Hmm.
I'd love to get your thoughts too on this, Bill. But you know, I wonder if is she saying that like within an environment where if I don't feel like I am, um, yeah, that I'm loved, I'm supported, then
Hmm.
like that part of me that gets awoken probably won't be expressed. It'll stay probably dormant for fear of I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to get made fun of. I don't want to
Yeah.
express wonder. Like if I don't feel that it's safe for my heart to come alive, then it's going to stay dormant.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm intrigued
Yeah.
by that
It.
addition of secure attachment.
Yeah. If we're not sensitive to the beautiful or have a spirit of wonder, we out of the fear that you're talking about. of ridicule or embarrassment, we detach, which is like the antithesis of being human. To be human is to be in communion. God wants us to be in
Yeah.
communion with nature, with Him, with others, within ourselves, like this security, attachment. But all that fear and closing off detaches. It's like we're snipped off, unmoored, and that is not a pleasant feeling. So yeah, we want to get grounded.
Yeah. No.
Well, all right, so good stuff. Let me recommend that book again, The Wonder Approach. Catherine Lecoullier. Maybe we'll try to drop this quote in the notes. It's very powerful. All right, well, I got a little something from the 15th century for you. This
Bring it on. I'm ready.
This is fun. Like we could literally jump millennia, centuries, and then something I saw yesterday. We could go all. This is so fun.
Yeah.
So I want to bring up and ask Thomas to bring up. These are called the gates of paradise or the doors of paradise, by the Italian sculptor and artist Lorenzo Ghiberti. And this is only one panel of 10 on these massive doors. They're spectacular. So I'm just zeroing in on 1 out of 10. Each one is a masterpiece. So we're going old school here. Let me give you the meditatio bit, like the little bits of objective information about this great work as you gaze upon its bronzed glory. Let your eye wander all over it. Created in the mid-15th century, installed in the eastern portal of the baptistry in Florence, Italy, the gates of paradise have been praised by generations of artists and art historians. Over time, the 17 feet tall, 3-ton bronze doors became an icon of Renaissance art. Okay, so here's a little bit more. In 1425, Lorenzo Ghiberti was commissioned to design a second pair of bronze doors for Florence's baptistry. So this is the building outside the cathedral where the baptisms would happen for the people of Florence. He labored on the task.
I've been there. I've seen this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, now I have
it's
holy
Florence,
jealousy.
Yeah.
It's Florence. Yeah, it's the baptistry in Florence, Italy.
I've been. Keep going.
All right. Well, I'm taking you back. And I wish I was there. 17 feet tall, 3 tons. He labored on the task. Guess how long it took him to do this 17-foot high set of doors? Guess how many years?
10 years, 5 years. I don't know.
27 years. 27 years.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Is that all? Fashioning a masterpiece that Michelangelo, this is really awesome. Michelangelo, Ghiberti predated Michelangelo by a couple decades, but Michelangelo called these truly worthy to be the gates of paradise. So that's the name that stuck. Michelangelo himself said that they're worthy to be the gates of paradise for their remarkable beauty and grandeur. The panels offer viewers a coherent vision of Ghiberti's artistic genius, innovative use of perspective, blah, blah, blah. They're amazing. Basically, Old Testament scenes. And the one I wanted to zero in on is, well, you can tell what's going on here, Fun Pat. What do we got?
Hey, do we have any like larger zoomed in versions of any of the particular scenes?
We can zoom in. You want to hit it,
give
Thomas?
me some zoom in action.
Spotlight.
I just need a little bit more.
Let's spotlight that.
Is that the creation of man?
Nailed it. So we have the creation
Yep.
of Adam. And it's beautiful because he's sort of being drawn from the earth,
like
pulled
that.
up. Yeah. And then we'll jump to the next bit, and we'll go back over and look at it again. This is
the formation of the bride.
Yes, the bride
out
comes
of sleepy
forth.
Adam's side.
So the creation of Eve, and again, we'll talk about, probably unpack this, but drawn out. So Adam's drawn out of the earth, Eve's drawn out of Adam, and then it starts to get ugly. We'll jump to the next highlight. Way in the back there. And amazingly, Ghiberti, like he starts to, he chisels less out in the relief so that it looks further away. See that? It's amazing. So this is the fall.
Incredible.
It's the fall in the garden. You can see the serpent sort of slinking up the tree there. And finally, the last bit is the expulsion from the garden. And he's got this brilliant use of perspective where he's got like the angel. I spotlighted the door there so you can see. So the angel is kind of, it's this, guardian now of Eden. And they're kind of, they have cast themselves out. So that's the
Yeah.
whole layout. I know it's kind of minute and detailed in many ways, but we can pan back out to the first set, Thomas, and just look at the whole picture. Really amazing to have all these like amazing moments condensed into this one square.
So this is just a question because I'm just curious. So it's cast bronze, right? So he would have sculpted this first in what, clay or something like that, or plaster, and
Yep.
molten bronze would have been poured.
Yeah, poured over
Wow.
it, and literally it took 25 years. They just cleaned these not too long ago, so they had gotten a bit darkened a little bit, and they had a huge project where they meticulously cleaned it. So this is brilliant right now. Looks like gold, but it's bronzed. Yeah, so it's a very hard surface, shining, and I'm just fascinated by it. There's so much going on here.
I love the movement of it, the way that your eye just journeys from the formation of the man in the bottom, what I see
Mm-hmm.
is the bottom left.
Yep.
Yeah, and how your eye journeys just travels up towards the Lord pulling the bride
Mm-hmm.
Eve out of
Mm-hmm.
Adam's side, and your eye journeys down her body to him sleeping. But then there's just something interesting about the fact that I don't know. I mean, it's a deliberate decision, but the way that he puts the fall, like the grasping at the fruit, like way off in the distance,
Yeah. Right.
almost as if to say, like, I don't know, it's significant. It belongs on the panel, but it's not something like that's not the central element of our human story. Like these movements are
Mm,
central.
right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. There's something about that that's striking to me.
Yeah. There's so much to play with, to look around with in your eye. Like you're saying, there's a composition that I go in, I go out. The perspective, the whole intrusion or invasion of the angelic realm. The whole top half of this panel is just like it's an
Gosh,
amazing
yeah,
thing. But
I like
it's like the angels are watching the human drama unfold, and they're
yeah.
part of it. Like that's so interesting that they're actually part of it, both fallen and angels that are still full of grace and faithful. You've got the whole cosmic battle of good and evil, and we're the centerpiece of it. Think about that, right? Like you wonder from the angels' perspective sometimes what kind of crazy show this is. This series on
Tune in
Earthflix, right?
next
Like
week.
the human drama
Yeah,
on Earthflix streaming, right? And
yeah.
it's not over
It's
yet.
it's a tragedy. It's just rebellion.
Right,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. You said a moment ago, it's like the angels are watching, or however whatever you said, but you
Yeah,
said the word like. I'm like, it's not like, they are, you know?
you're right. You're
And that's
right.
why I love yeah, I love how art is able to capture the ineffable realities, right? Like
Mm,
we don't see with our own waking eyes the invisible realms that surround us. We don't see the multitude of the heavenly host. Um, at least, I don't. I'm just going to speak for myself.
right.
Um, but St. Paul, how he says that we're surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses that we are competitors in the arena, right? That's like that image that he uses, that
Wow.
the saints, the angels, they're like the fans in the stands. Um, and the fans in the stands, they're not just like neutral,
Right.
um, they're not like golf fans, okay, who are just like, very good moral decision, very good. They're like these angels. They're invested, they're involved, they're um,
Influencing. They're
yeah, I don't know,
influencing. Yeah.
influencing. That's a great way to put it. Yeah,
That is
yeah.
awesome. I literally didn't think we were going to go in this direction, but that's the beauty of this whole journey we're on here, is that I'm focusing now on the role the angels play, which are kind of in the relief further back. But yeah, think about that. How they can either try to entice and pull us away from God's original plan of love and communion, or they're sort of just like whispering, that sea breeze of inspiration, like blowing, could go, choose right. And also stewards of God's plan, including the angel who's like sort of guarding the door as they're casting themselves out. That it makes me think about my choices. I'm slipping into the actio already, but just
Yeah.
imagining, wow, so my life, what if my life was a relief sculpted in bronze, you know, and above me are angels and demons, and that it's dang, I mean, like my choices, my everyday choices have such eternal weight. That's sobering. I'm not freaked out by it. I'm sobered by it. This idea that all heaven's
Yeah.
watching.
Well, and also, like this is what you're glimpsing here in this relief is um, the the drama that surrounds the first marriage, right? And the drama that surrounds every marriage.
Yeah.
I just have so much marriage on my mind right now. I've got 3 weddings coming up this next weekend, and
Gosh.
one of the couples picked the reading from the book of Tobit's prayer before,
Oh
or him and
wow.
Tobiah's prayer before bed. Um,
With Sarah.
and the whole
Beautiful.
drama of that story is the fact that
Hmm.
the enemy is after the marriage, right? He's after marriage. And the Lord, he calls down grace and mercy upon them as a newly married couple. And like for every married person watching this, like this relief, this image here, it's like, I don't know, it's like a spiritual scan of your own marriage.
Yeah.
Like this is what happened when you met and saw your beloved. There was this multitude of the heavenly hosts that were both exultant and glorious, because here again is another couple that's going to incarnate God's love, number one, but also this malign force of the enemy who wants to destroy you
Literally.
and wants to rip you away from each other. Yeah, the whole
Oh,
drama is played out right here, life and death in marriage.
okay. You just dropped some serious bombs right there, Father Patrick. Oh my gosh. So yeah, but bam, bam. Let's get some fireworks in here. So the idea that the centerpiece of this is this marriage, and I agree. It is the union and communion of man and woman. It's the great dance from the beginning, God's plan of love. And you said something akin to like that the marriage is supposed to incarnate God's love.
Yeah.
Right? Now that's very theology of the body. That married love is meant to incarnate, iconize, right? Visibilize, that's a word, God's love. And how that's the very place where there's so much spiritual combat. That's very JP too, right? That the family is the center where it's the great struggle between good and evil, life and death, love and all that's opposed to love. He said that in a letter to families. Man, I feel the drama. So now I'm thinking, let's kind of move to like not actio yet, like how this is going to change me, but how this art should change us and married couples, right? Looking at this, Thomas, can you go back to the first fade in where it's the creation of Adam? Nice. So, I mean, if I'm going to be a good man, a good husband and father, a beloved son, I I'm being lifted up by the Lord. I'm being invited by the Lord into life, into this drama. Okay, so it's cool that Adam is not creating himself. It's not his own initiative or impulse, like, and now I'll do this. But the Lord is literally in this image here in the bottom left. He's like drawing him out. So I feel like,
Yeah.
guys, like we have to, men who are listening in here, let the Lord lead. Let the Lord draw. Let yourself be taken up.
And this connects to the quote that you shared, right? Like, what is it that draws you out, right? The
Yeah.
quote, she said something like, beauty triggers wonder,
Yes.
right? So like, especially for our brothers who are listening and watching, what are those things that draw you up and out of yourself? Those aren't just, they don't they're not insignificant. Like those are the little breadcrumbs that the divine hunter has left on the path of, like, in front of you in particular, right? To draw you up and out of yourself. Like whether it's fly fishing or um, smoking a pipe, or whatever it is that draws you up and out of yourself. Like that's the hand of God, right?
Awesome.
Drawing the man up and out of himself towards something bigger.
Yeah. Boy, that,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking the next panel, that's a nice segue. Woman is drawn out of man. And the great feminine mystery right? The great Marian mystery of beauty is, for so many of us men, single, married, celibate, like an attractive power, stupefying power. I mean, John Paul II himself, who loved the Blessed Mother so much, said near the end of his life that he was dazzled by the gift of woman. So the fact that like she's drawn from him as he rests, like Adam's out cold at this point in the centerpiece of this relief, right? He does not create her. It's a total drawing forth from God and to God. So I feel like the invitation here is for us men to acclimate ourselves to wonder and beauty. And like you said, find those things that pull us out of ourselves. But the climax, the highlight here is the other person who is not me, like the other, for whom I am actually a companion, a fellow journeyer, like to look upon this other as a gift that constantly is calling me out of myself. Powerful stuff. And it's not just for married people, right? This is for everybody, every person. That this other that's not me is an invitation to wonder.
Yeah. I think is so interesting about this is that the way it's highlighted right now,
Yeah.
like the whole panel is framed around this moment,
Yeah.
right? Like 'cause this moment is the crown jewel of it's the climax of the entire creation, which is so important for us to proclaim in our church today that like the woman is the crown jewel of
Yes.
creation,
Oh, that's so
right?
good.
You ask any artist, right? The last in execution is the first in intention, right? So here she is coming forth, not second as an afterthought. She's coming last, right? She's coming last. The last in the procession is the most important, you know,
Yeah.
because she's the archetype of all of creation. That's who the woman is, the one who stands receptive before
That's right.
the gift, and you've got God holding her right, like by the hand. It looks like, and he looks like he's the bridegroom,
Oh,
and she looks like she's the bride. You
it's
know,
like, oh gosh,
and
it's like he's presenting her as the bride too.
hmm yeah, there's just so much packed in here,
There's
so
more and
much.
more. The more we talk about it, the more I'm starting to see. I love it.
Yeah,
And you said something earlier, Father Pat, about this work. Again, this is Lorenzo Ghiberti, 15th century Florentine sculptor. These are 17-foot high doors on a baptistry, and this is just one panel. But you said something earlier, Father Patrick, about that the fall, which actually, Thomas, if you could jump to it, the fall is really off center. And you just
yeah,
said like the center is this gift of woman coming from man, this communion of man and woman. That's the center. Think about our lives and our perspective and our, even just culturally, we want to put the fall in the center. Like we're a mess, we're broken. Look at all my junk, but that's actually in this composition a reality, but the least important. The important is the original good of God's creation, which, P.S.,
yeah,
Christ has redeemed and restored.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. The deepest truth is not our fallenness; it's our original creation.
Right, right. What's that
Yeah,
great song? I feel like you quoted this earlier in another episode, but, and Thomas, can you jump back? Because I'm depressed looking at the fall now. I want to go back to the good stuff. Yes, thank you, Thomas. I think you said, you
thank
might
God
have
for
said this
Thomas.
before. Yeah. We are not the sum of our weaknesses. We are the sum of the Father's
Yeah,
love for us.
yep,
And that just feels better. There was a really, I'm thinking
yeah,
about this. I don't know. Today's, as we're recording, I believe, yeah, it's the feast of St. Francis of Assisi today, as we're
sure
recording
is.
this episode. But there was back in the 70s, there was a movie called Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon. It was kind of a cheesy, it was a good attempt at St. Francis. But
Uh-huh.
the Pope was played by Alec Guinness, who played Ben Kenobi, Obi-Wan later. But the Pope in the movie is talking to Francis, who's coming for a blessing on his new mendicant order of, these ragamuffins. And the Pope sort of has this mystic word come through him, and he says to Francis and his little tribe, he says, perhaps in our obsession with original sin, we have forgotten original innocence.
Mm.
And I just remember getting zapped by that when I saw it. Like the rest of the movie kind of got a little hippified, but that line was really powerful. Perhaps in our obsession with original sin, right? We want to put the fall in the center. We've forgotten original innocence. So, I mean, I think we're sliding right into the Axio piece now of our episode. How's this going to change me? I feel like we're already leading into it. See the good, become the good, celebrate it. I think as men, I love this idea that she's higher than him. Lift her up.
Yep. The piece of this that I keep returning to in my mind is that this is part of these are the doors to the baptistry.
Oh, yes.
Right? And that's significant.
Mm-hmm.
That the way back to the garden, or the way to the eternal garden, if you will, the way back home is through through baptism. Like, I don't know, I have that in my mind too, that this mystery, this masculinity, femininity, man, woman, marriage, all of that, this mystery that's the seed here that's just like planted in the garden is brought to fruition in Christ in the New Testament. But the way that we get access, to what poured forth from Christ's side, right? Christ, who's the new Adam, who asleep in death on the cross. The way that we get access to that is through baptism, right?
Right.
And I don't know, like, there's just something so powerful about, like, in my mind, I'm just like tilting this image to see Adam upright, and like that's just Christ on the cross, and what pours forth from his side is the church. You get into that through the baptism. So like
Right.
the baptistry, I don't know.
The blood and water
That
that
is
flowed
so
from his
amazing.
heart. Woo! Okay. I got another, not so this Axio piece of like how it's going to be different. Baptism, I love what you're saying here. Like, this is the portal. This is the way in. Maybe an action item is, for us, for those who are listening in, what's your baptism date? When were you baptized? God willing, you were baptized. What day? I happen to know mine's November 9th, so that's coming up soon. Maybe it's like this year making that a real noted day, like a day where I do something special, do something different, not just like thank God in a quick prayer, but do something ceremonial almost to like celebrate. I got new life. I got a reset. I got a fresh start through the waters of baptism. Do you know your baptismal date? I'm putting you on the spot now.
April 2nd.
Oh, nice.
April 2nd.
Isn't
This
that
is what's
day,
crazy. I found
didn't
this
John
out.
Paul II die on April 2nd? That wasn't that his death day?
I think that was April 5th.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
I
cut
could
you
be
off. Go
wrong.
ahead.
I found out later in the seminary that the priest who was my spiritual director in seminary was the priest who baptized me.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah. I happened to look at my baptismal certificate. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
So you told
Yeah,
him?
I think.
You told
Yeah,
him?
yeah. He didn't know. He didn't remember.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool.
Okay, well, bring us home, Father Patrick. Closing thoughts, final thoughts.
Yeah. Closing thoughts in terms of the Axio. I think it would be worthwhile to reflect on our baptism, but through the lens of beauty, right?
Yeah.
Through the lens of, this is when he himself, capital B, beauty, reached down and grasped me out of the pit of sin and hell and like rescued me, right? This is not an insignificant moment in our lives, but this is when beauty claimed me, and beauty began its restoration, right? St. Paul, by the washing of water and the word, right? It's a beautification process that begins in baptism. And I don't know, that would be worthwhile to reflect on our baptism through this lens of beauty reaching down.
Sweet. Thanks, Father Pat. Well, thanks for tuning in for this episode, everyone. We hope you're enjoying this. This Way of Wonder, #WOW. We were going to wait a couple of episodes to share that, but it could be the real hashtag. Start that trending. We hope that you're enjoying the journey. And again, this week was The Gates of Paradise, named by Michelangelo, but it's Ghiberti's work. 15th century, 17-foot high, 3-ton doors. Beautiful. So check it out a little further if you want to. And in the comments below each episode, we encourage you to share your wow moments, your way of wonder moments. What's the stuff that's been sort of gobsmacking you and stopping you in your tracks and you're just arrested by it? We'd love to build these ideas out, these experiences out in our community here as we start to grow it out. All right, my brother who is Father, I will see you next episode.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you.
All right, peace.